I know you want to climb. I don't wanna walk away, way too faster. Walking straight without chest up. I know you.
Yeah, my name's Jordy, 28. Yeah, just come here to share my story, I guess, and hopefully shed some light on people who have gone through similar situations to me. And yeah, so I grew up in Manildra, which is just a little small town, 500 people in central western New South Wales. Aboriginal man and Fijian on my dad's side. My childhood was a little bit different to a lot of people in the sense that I was the only one in my grade, pretty much from kindergarten to year 5. So yeah, it was a bit of a different time, but I grew up in a pretty large family, so I've always had really good support network. So I've always had some really good role models, but also grew up around a lot of alcohol and drug abuse, I guess, and I was always really conscious of doing things that made my family proud. So yeah, things were going pretty well. I had a pretty normal childhood and got to 2003 and I was in year 6 and went away to a Christian living camp. It was just part of our thing. I went to a Catholic school. Got a bit crook one day and had to go to the sick bay and went in there and unfortunately I was sexually abused by the priest that was present there. Yeah, I was pretty numb, to be honest. It took me a while to really gather my thoughts and what had actually happened. Yeah, I just remember it being like searing sort of pain. It was something I hid from everyone for a good 12 or 13 years and didn't really reveal the full extent of it until last year, so probably didn't realise the effect that it had on me. To be honest, I just couldn't bring myself to say anything. I just felt embarrassed. The start of it was so I didn't want my mum to find out and I didn't want my nan to find out because I knew that the Catholic faith was such a big part of their lives and I didn't want to disappoint them. I didn't want them to think like they had to take my side over that of the church. Like I started just to live behind a mask really, like I would try to just create this false identity that like I was killing it at life and that it hadn't affected me. But so I just tried to hide it as best I could, and as I said, like I tried to just excel at everything, and even if I didn't, I made a facade as if I had. Like I would just make up stories like I'd done all this stuff and hadn't, and it just manifested itself as I got older. And the teacher that went away with us, obviously a woman, and I guess looking back on it now, I've held a lot of resentment towards women, in the sense I felt like I guess she might not have protected me as much as I should have been. It's no one else's fault. It's the priest that did it, and no one could foresee that that's going to happen to a young kid. But it's been something that I've carried, I guess, for a long time now. And yeah, as I said, it's shaped a lot of my behaviours as I've grown up, and I could feel myself hurting people that I loved all the time, and just couldn't stop myself. Had no idea what to do. Like people were trying to help me, and just had nothing. So yeah, I've sort of lost the woman I loved and the woman I envisioned marrying and having a family with through that fragile ego. I couldn't really handle the attention she got. I'd see the likes and the comments that she'd get from other blokes, and it'd just put me straight into this state of crisis, I suppose. Like, is she going to leave me? Is she going to find out who I really am and move on to something better? It made myself really hard to be around, not just for her, but for my whole family. As hard as it is, it's taken me to lose everything to realise that I need to really work on myself anyway before having a relationship like that again. The flashpoint, I suppose, for all this is, I was starting to really go on a downhill spiral. Sort of around October last year, I carried out a plan that I had for 3 or 4 weeks to end my life. So I went to a place, got my belongings and said my goodbye, and I took a photo, and it was just to say goodbye again. And somehow she came and found me and saved my life, and if she didn't, I wouldn't be here today. So it was, as I say, it was probably the start of the turning point in my life. Went to the hospital, and actually that was the first time I'd ever said exactly, like explicitly, what had happened to me, and I was physically sick. Like I was out the front of the Sunny Coast Hospital, like spewing my guts up. And I was just hysterical. I went back to my house and I was just in the shower, just bawling my eyes out. Like I couldn't even stand up, and it's like, what am I doing? And I sort of feel like now that I'm starting to realise what it actually is that I needed to do and the work that I needed to do myself, and taking that seriously. Yeah, just being a normal bloke, I always had to feel like I was striving for something, or like I didn't want that assault or being a victim to define who I was. just want to relax now and be me and just be fine with it. Like be able to be a 28-year-old dude, being able to go out with his mates and find the little joys in life. Like I was sort of too focused on big picture shit, and like it doesn't matter, man. Can't expect anyone else to fix me. It's up to me, and that's the same with anyone dealing with mental illness. You got to accept your own traits, I guess, and be able to acknowledge the things that you don't do real well and try and fix them. I feel like I'm a lot better. Still have my bad days. Like that's just sort of still the journey I'm on. Like I'm gonna have those days. Thanks for having me, bro.